grocery shopping, spending almost $300. And my question is, do you think that they're just going to keep raising the prices so that eventually, $5.99 for a quarter pound of American cheese sounds like a good deal? Like, how long are these prices gonna go up for? Because, hear me out, no one can afford anything. It's a shame and it's very sad. There's just a bunch of sad people at the checkout line, and I was one of them.
We pay taxes on the money that we earn. Then we pay taxes on the things that we buy. Plus we pay taxes on the streets and the roads and the schools and everything else in the world. Then we pay taxes for the things that we own long term, like your car and your house and whatever, property taxes, blah, blah, blah. Please tell me why it is tax season and we owe a couple $1,000s. Please tell me why. So then you get a little side job or two, in my case, two, and you owe more taxes on that. And then and you're not even making much more money. So it's not even like you're in a higher tax bracket. But let's say you made 2,000 little extra dollars that year, and then you owe like half of that in taxes. Please tell me how anybody's supposed to get ahead. You're not. The answer is that you're not.
Hey YouTube, everywhere online people are arguing about whether the economy is actually broken or if everyone's just struggling to adjust to higher prices. And the debate keeps getting louder because almost everyone seems to have a story about rent, groceries, or bills getting harder to keep up with. Today, we're going to be looking at some TikToks throughout this video, but the bigger conversation goes way beyond one person's experience because these clips are really just snapshots of what a lot of people have been feeling lately. The real question isn't whether things cost more than they used to, it's why so many people feel like they're putting in way more effort while getting less in return.
This is not rhetorical, I'm being so serious. If the price of everything keeps going up, and our salaries keep staying the same, what's gonna happen?
Excellent question, and the truth is, no one knows. We live in a closed system with finite resources, with a finite ability to withstand a certain population count, and the people at the top think that they need to own all things, all capital, all resources, all access to power, and that everyone else only exists to give them more access to wealth and power. And on a long enough timeline, it's just simply not sustainable. For a hot minute, there was a social contract, at least in this country, where the people at the bottom made living, thrivable wages. It's why boomers have access to so much wealth right now. The average, go look up, I'm not even going to give you, go look up the average age of a first-time home buyer 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and today. Go look it up. Go look it up. No one has anything. When it's all said and done, something is going to break. And when it does, go look up how many people are in credit card debt compared to 20 years ago. Go look up the amount of people that are defaulting on credit cards compared to 20.
16% personal bankruptcy is up 16%. Home foreclosures are skyrocketing. In March 2026, there was over 45,000 homes foreclosed, which was a 28% increase higher than March 2025. Unemployment is skyrocketing. Gas is an average of $4.65 a gallon, which means it is higher in some places. That means that food is going to go up, and anything that's delivered on a truck to a store. So your household items, your diapers, your formula, your shoes, your clothes. Did you know the last time gas was this high was when Russia struck Ukraine and we had almost 9% inflation? It looks like we're heading for stagflation. Looks like we're in a K-shaped economy. The sad part is we're in week 9 of attacking Iran, which has cost us billions of dollars that we'll never get anything from. We call that a sunk cost as an accountant. And all that's going to do is accelerate the collapsing of the US economy. Don't be fooled by the stock market. The stock market is not the economy. Interest rates will not be lowered anytime soon. We'll be lucky if we don't have higher inflation. Over 2 million people have lost their jobs in the last 15 months. No jobs are being created. Essentially, we're in a hiring freeze. Companies are not hiring, they're laying off, and people are not moving jobs. We are in for an economic collapse we have not seen likely since at least the 1970s, but if at worst, a Great Depression. If you found this post disturbing but informative, please like, comment, follow, and share for more.
For a lot of people, the problem isn't buying luxury items or spending too much money on random stuff. It's the basics that keep getting more expensive every year. Rent, groceries, utilities, insurance, and transportation are taking up a way bigger chunk of people's paycheck than they used to. When most of your income disappears before you even have a chance to save any of it, it becomes harder to plan for the future. People talk all the time about building an emergency fund or investing early, but that's difficult when you're focused on making it to the next paycheck. Even small, unexpected expenses can completely throw off your budget. A car repair, a medical bill, or a rent increase can suddenly become a major setback instead of a temporary inconvenience. That's why so many people feel stuck despite working full-time jobs. They're not necessarily moving backwards, but they're not moving forward either. And when that gap between effort and reward keeps growing, frustration starts to feel unavoidable.
Governments around the world are so hyper-fixated on people having babies is because their populations are in decline, and those populations in decline mean that the billionaires have less employees, and they are making less money because there's less consumers, less employees, and there's less people to take advantage of. Let's look at the graphs. Let's start with the United States of America, shall we? You see how this is smaller than this? That's gonna be a problem. Guess who's paying for the pension? These people. Guess who's getting the pension? Oh, these people. But there's more people here than here. So then how is that going to work? How is that going to work? Japan. Oh, would you look at that? Would you look at that? We have this to this. Yikes. Oh, Canada. We're all so screwed. You see this right here and you see this right here? It's not looking good, Brev. But I'm from Europe. But you're still cooked. But you're still cooked, but you're from Europe. Now we're here at the millennial gen, who is trying to do what their parents and grandparents did, work their 9 to 5, buy a house, have kids, go on their little vacation, but guess what? They can't afford it because the capitalist structure keeps making it absolutely impossible to live. Rent, up. Groceries, up. Gas, up. What do you mean you want us, Gen Zs, to have 3 kids? Out of whose paycheck? People working 2-3 jobs just to live on their own, let alone have 2 kids. So I just find it curious that billionaires and millionaires are supporting policies like the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Now, why would Jeff Bezos need women to have unwanted pregnancies to term and then have children be put into the federal system? Is it because perhaps they need workers in order to make money, and a declining population means that they're going to have less workers, which means they're going to have less profit and less consumers? Oh, that makes a lot more sense. So see, friends, everything's about economics and politics at the end of the day. It's not about spirituality. It's not about ethics. It's about bottom lines. And that's what the capitalist structure can always guarantee you, is that the top 1% will consistently look out for their best interests. You might be thinking, oh, but they swore on the Bible. They don't care about the Bible. They care about getting bodies into their warehouses so they can make money. And on top of that, they're not going to give you a bathroom break. Not in this economy. So to all my fellow Gen Zs, please keep this in mind before you have kids. If you want to have children, you need to come to the conclusion that you can A, afford to have kids, B, your kids aren't being raised on an iPad. Because I have some concerns about kids' brains being trained to process algorithms and to be trained like robots, especially in a time where AI is becoming more prevalent and governments are having access to AI programs that are going to be very prevalent. And if your child's brain is being trained to follow instructions like a robot and the government has access to AI, I wonder what could happen there. But everything is just an alleged theory because I can't prove any of this. But take with it what you will.
What's making all this even more exhausting is how expensive convenience has become. Almost everything today comes with extra costs attached to it. Streaming services, delivery apps, processing fees, subscriptions, service charges, and interest payments slowly piling up in the background. A lot of these costs seem small on their own, which is exactly why they're so easy to overlook. But when you add everything together at the end of the month, it can feel like money disappears faster than ever. Even people earning more than they did just a few years ago sometimes feel worse financially because their expenses has increased just as quickly. Debt also becomes harder and harder to avoid when necessities cost more. Using a credit card to cover an emergency can turn into months or years of payment because interest keeps stacking on top of the original expense. People aren't just budgeting for what they need anymore, they're budgeting around all the extra costs that come with participating in everyday life.
How are y'all paying anywhere between $1,600 and $2,000 a month for rent on $7.25 an hour? Seriously, I need somebody to show their work because the math ain't mathing. Because, every time somebody always loves to say, folks don't want to work. I always laugh at that. There are plenty of jobs. The problem is, there's plenty of jobs that'll pay you money just enough, but not enough to get ahead. It's like being on a treadmill that charges you rent. You run at full speed, but you still ain't going nowhere. Think about it. Rent is $2,000. Then you still need lights, groceries, car insurance, gas, and the car itself. At this point, your paycheck is showing up like a contestant on a reality survival show. Back in my day, you could get a whole apartment, 1 bedroom, say, $450, plus utilities included. Now the landlords hand you the keys and a financial hostage situation. And then people wonder why folks got 2 and 3 jobs and still can't breathe financially. This ain't sustainable. So I want to know, are you surviving in this economy, or are you just learning how to drown slower? Let's talk about it.
The reason these conversations keep spreading online is because people aren't only worried about paying next month's bills. They're starting to question what the future is supposed to look like if current trends continue. More adults are delaying moving out, buying homes, getting married, or having kids because these milestones feel financially out of reach. Advice that worked for previous generations doesn't always line up with today's reality, which creates even more confusion about what people should actually be doing. At the same time, rising debt levels and increases in personal bankruptcies are making people wonder how much pressure households can realistically handle. When enough people feel financially squeezed, their behavior starts to change. They spend less, delay purchases, cancel subscriptions, and become more careful with every single dollar. Businesses notice that shift because consumer spending drives a huge part of this economy. Governments notice it too because economic frustration eventually turns into political pressure. None of this means things are guaranteed to keep getting worse forever. Economies change constantly, and history shows that periods of financial stress usually force new ideas, new policies, and different ways of doing things. But the conversations that are happening right now are a sign that people aren't just complaining about prices anymore. They're questioning whether the system still rewards the effort it asks of people to put out every single day.